Sex and the Founding Fathers is about American stories about sex and the Founding Fathers. It's about their personal lives.
The Founding Fathers are famously considered some of the stiffest, righteous, and religious men in the history of the USA. But the reality is far from it. Did you know that their private lives were filled with as much drama and controversy as Donald Trump's life is? From secret affairs indulging their wildest desires to literally switching genders, here's the truth about the filthy, intimate lives of Founding Fathers. Alexander Hamilton. Starting off with the Secretary of the Treasury, who was embroiled in one of the most notorious scandals in early American history. It all began in 1791 when Alexander Hamilton, one of the most prominent figures in the United States, left his wife Eliza for the summer. During his absence, Maria Reynolds, a married woman, approached Hamilton, claiming that her husband had abandoned her and left her with no financial support. What seemed like an innocent plea for help soon took a turn that no one could have predicted. Hamilton, known for his brilliance in shaping the nation's financial system, soon found himself entangled in a dangerous affair. According to letters he wrote later, he described himself as a victim, asserting that Maria had seduced him by playing on his emotions. But things didn't stop there. Maria's husband, James Reynolds, reappeared, and instead of confronting Hamilton out of jealousy or rage, he saw a golden opportunity for financial gain. The affair became a tool for blackmail, as James Reynolds demanded money from Hamilton to keep the scandalous secret under wraps. The blackmail scheme continued, with Hamilton making payments to Reynolds to protect both his marriage and his political career. However, whispers about his behavior began to circulate, and soon the rumors took on a darker tone. It wasn't just the affair that became the focus of attention. Accusations started flying that Hamilton had misused government funds to make the payments. The stakes had never been higher, as Hamilton faced potential ruin not only in his personal life, but also in his public career. In a bold and desperate move, he made the shocking decision to confess. He publicly admitted to the affair with Maria Reynolds, hoping that revealing the truth would clear him of the more damning accusations of financial misconduct. Despite the scandal, Hamilton's career continued, but his life would soon take a tragic turn. In 1804, he was killed in a duel by Aaron Burr, the sitting Vice President of the United States. After his death, his contributions to the country began to overshadow the scandal that had once threatened to destroy him. Over time, he was remembered more for his role as a founding father and the creator of the nation's financial system than for his affair with Maria Reynolds. Maria, on the other hand, was cast aside by history, vilified as a manipulative lower-class woman who had ensnared one of America's great men. George Washington. Someone who definitely wasn't cast aside by history was George Washington, but one small and impactful detail about his life was the unfortunate George Washington was unable to get his own wife pregnant, despite being seen in portraits with multiple children. None of them were his biological offspring. The children in these images were either Martha's from her previous marriage or relatives. Washington, though deeply involved in their upbringing and acting as a father figure, never had children of his own. Given his title as Founding Father, the absence of biological heirs raises eyebrows and invites speculation. Was there something personal happening in his life that prevented him from leaving a direct legacy? The mystery becomes even more intriguing when you look at Martha Washington's past. She had given birth to 4 children with her first husband, Daniel Parke Custis. This makes it clear that the issue was not with her fertility. If Martha was capable of bearing children, then why did she not have any with George? This question naturally leads to the idea that Washington himself may have been infertile. The man who led armies and helped build a new nation might have faced a personal challenge that went unnoticed during his lifetime. One of the most widely accepted theories is that Washington's infertility was caused by illness. Many believe that he may have contracted tuberculosis, a common and dangerous disease during his time. This illness could have rendered him unable to have children. In an age before modern medicine, tuberculosis often had long-lasting health effects, and infertility could have been one of them. However, there's another story that adds an unexpected twist to the mystery. After the war, rumors spread that Washington's infertility might have been the result of an injury he sustained during an affair. The tale suggests that Washington was caught sneaking out of the bedroom of a married woman, and in his hasty escape, injured himself badly. According to this rumor, the injury led to his inability to father children. While this story is mostly regarded as gossip, it adds a layer of scandal to an otherwise dignified public figure. What we do know is that this personal mystery did not affect his larger legacy as a leader and statesman. Thomas Jefferson. If Washington's affair with a married woman wasn't scandalous enough, this next founding father has been accused of doing something even more disgusting. His relationship with Sally Hemings, a slave on his estate, has stirred debate for centuries. While Jefferson's political contributions are well documented, his private life remains shrouded in mystery, with whispers and speculation surrounding his connection with Hemings. The question still lingers: did Jefferson truly father Hemings' children, and if so, what kind of relationship did they share? Neither Jefferson nor Hemings left behind any letters or journals to shed light on their relationship. This lack of direct evidence has led some to claim that the stories about their affair were fabrications, designed to discredit Jefferson's legacy. However, other pieces of the puzzle suggest otherwise. For example, Jefferson reportedly purchased gifts for Hemings during their time in Paris, a gesture that hinted at a deeper connection. But was this a sign of affection, or something more complicated, rooted in power and control? As the rumors about their relationship grew, so did the public's curiosity. Some have tried to romanticize the connection, imagining a story of forbidden love between the two. But the reality was likely far more complex. Hemings' own son referred to his mother as Jefferson's concubine, a term that paints a darker picture of their relationship. Hemings, as an enslaved woman, had little power or choice in her interactions with Jefferson. While history often tries to soften these kinds of stories, the brutal truth is that Hemings' status as a slave meant that any relationship with Jefferson, whether affectionate or not, was marked by a profound imbalance of power. The scandal truly exploded in 1802 when a political journalist, James Callender, published an article accusing Jefferson of keeping Hemings as his concubine and fathering her children. The article caused an uproar, and Jefferson's opponents, especially those in the North who supported abolition, seized the opportunity to use the story against him. The idea that one of the nation's founding fathers, a man who helped draft the Declaration of Independence, could be involved in such a relationship was shocking to many. The scandal became one of the first major sex scandals in American politics, casting a shadow over Jefferson's public image. Even today, the debate continues. In the 1990s, DNA testing provided strong evidence that Jefferson likely fathered Hemings' children, further fueling the controversy. Yet despite this evidence, some historians remain skeptical, arguing that the truth may be more complex than the popular narrative suggests. Benjamin Franklin. Having just one mistress got many founding fathers cancelled by people nowadays, but somehow Benjamin Franklin's reputation didn't falter even after the revelation that he had at least 12 mistresses throughout his life. According to the Chicago Tribune, Franklin was known for his many romantic escapades, reportedly having gone from one mistress to the next. While Franklin was in London from 1757 to 75, some historians believe he was a member of the Medmenham monks, also known as the Hellfire Club. This was a group of libertine men who were known for their perverse sexual proclivities and their rejection of religious constraints. While his actual membership cannot be confirmed or denied, historians point out Franklin had close friendships with some of the club's most notorious members, including its founder, Francis Dashwood. Franklin moved into an apartment in a London building owned by a widow named Margaret Stevenson. Margaret also lived there with her 18-year-old daughter, Polly. Some historians think Margaret and Franklin may have had an affair over the 15 years he lived under her roof. Others think Franklin may have tried to spark up a romance with Polly as well. He was reportedly fond of Polly, and he kept up a long correspondence with her. In his final years, he even had the widowed Polly move to Philadelphia to be by his side until his death. In fact, even at the ripe age of 70, his sex drive likely didn't wane. A young composer and musician, Anne-Louise de Ardoncourt-Briand de Jouy, caught his eye and he tried to seduce her, with no luck. She affectionately referred to him as Cher Papa. Franklin then fell for and courted a rich noble widow named Madame Helvetius. She had an estate in the French countryside, where Franklin got very comfortable in the company of her and her guests. Franklin even proposed marriage to Madame Helvetius, but she turned him down. His preference for older women added to the intrigue surrounding his private affairs. While some details of his personal life remain unclear, it is well known that Franklin fathered at least one illegitimate child during his lifetime. In 1731, just a year after his marriage to Deborah Red, Franklin had a son with one of his mistresses, a woman some historians believe was named Barbara, who worked as a maid in his household. Despite the obvious betrayal, Deborah accepted the child, William Franklin, and raised him as her own stepson. William grew up to follow in his father's footsteps, making his own mark on history by becoming the governor of New Jersey. Meanwhile, Franklin and Deborah had 2 children of their own, though their family was marked by tragedy. Their first son passed away from smallpox at the age of 5, leaving only their daughter, Sally, who lived well into her 60s. Franklin's affair that resulted in William was just one piece of a much larger and more complicated puzzle. Some historians, such as Thomas A. Foster, the author of Sex and the Founding Fathers, suggest that Franklin may have fathered as many as 15 illegitimate children over the course of his life. However, aside from William, there is little concrete evidence to confirm these claims. Nevertheless, Franklin himself was open about his various romantic missteps. In his memoirs, he confessed that his departure from Boston to Philadelphia was prompted by an affair that led to an unplanned pregnancy. He expressed regret later in life for not marrying the woman he got pregnant, suggesting that this decision might have spared him the disgrace of fathering a child outside of marriage. His reputation took a hit because of these personal choices, even as he played a central role in key historical events like the American Revolution and the drafting of the Constitution. Franklin's complicated legacy has not gone without criticism. In the 19th century, renowned suffragist Elizabeth Cady Stanton argued that Franklin's behavior was an attack on women and that he should not be revered as a great American hero. James Buchanan. The next one on our list didn't have any illicit affairs or cheat on his wife, but he challenged the conventions of gender at a time when you could get executed for doing it. Let's put it this way. While other founding fathers were spending nights with their mistresses, he was cozying it up with a mister. James Buchanan, the 15th President of the United States, is often regarded as one of the worst leaders in American history. His presidency, which lasted from 1857 to 1861, coincided with the dissolution of the Union as Southern states seceded after Abraham Lincoln's election. While Buchanan's time in office was marked by this significant crisis, what remains less discussed is his scandalous personal life, which raises many eyebrows. Before he even stepped into the Oval Office, Buchanan had an extensive political career that included serving as a U.S. representative, senator, and Secretary of State under President Polk. Despite these accomplishments, his failures in leadership during a critical time for the nation overshadowed his earlier successes. Adding to the intrigue surrounding Buchanan is his lifelong bachelorhood, which has sparked speculation about his sexuality. Many historians point to his close relationship with Senator William Rufus King of Alabama as a focal point for these discussions. The two men lived together for many years, and their bond was so intimate that it has led some to suggest that Buchanan may have been the first gay president in U.S. history. Whispers of their filthy intimacy circulated among political circles, leaving a stain on Buchanan's reputation. They were known to attend parties as a pair, and their closeness prompted others, including Andrew Jackson, to mockingly refer to them as Aunt Fancy and Miss Nancy, terms that were derogatory slang for gay men during the 19th century. Perhaps this constant scrutiny and societal pressure to conform to traditional norms influenced Buchanan's decision to remain single throughout his presidency. With so much attention on his personal life, it raises the question of whether these factors contributed to his inability to address the growing tensions between North and South. John Adams. This next founding was definitely not gender fluid, nor did he cheat, but turns out the same cannot be said about his wife, whose alleged dalliance with another infamous founding father almost spoiled their marriage. John Adams was often portrayed as a devoted husband and an exemplary man. Despite his criticisms of figures like Alexander Hamilton, his relationship with his wife Abigail seemed perfect on the surface. However, a deeper look reveals the struggles beneath that facade. John spent significant periods away from Abigail, which created an emotional distance between them. Their love was evident in their letters, filled with affection and longing. Yet, when he returned to Massachusetts, there were times he chose not to visit her. This absence raises questions about their relationship. Was there more to the story? Rumors of Abigail's passionate affair during John's long absences added fuel to the fire, leading to tension in their marriage. John Adams was born into a Puritan family in Massachusetts, embodying the values of a good New Englander. His father sent him to Harvard College. John excelled in his tiny class of 24 classmates. After graduating, he spent a year teaching in Worcester, Massachusetts. He disliked teaching and referred to his students as uneducated little runtlings, so he decided to study law. He studied for 2 years with the local lawyer, James Putnam. In the fall of 1758, he was admitted to the bar and started practicing law in his birthplace of Braintree. He married Abigail Smith in 1754, but their union faced challenges from the start. Abigail's mother, Mrs. Smith, disapproved of John, viewing him as an inadequate match for her daughter, especially because of the 10-year age difference between the two. This familial disdain contributed to the strains within their marriage. Together, John and Abigail raised 6 children, though they faced significant losses. 1 child was stillborn and another died in infancy. Their 3 surviving sons followed in John's footsteps, pursuing careers in law. Unfortunately, 2 of them struggled in their professions, succumbing to alcoholism. However, John Adams emerged as a notable figure, eventually becoming the President of the United States. And like all notable political personalities, his personal life was also not spared by the media scrutiny. During the presidential campaign of 1800, President John Adams was accused of sending a friend to Europe to procure mistresses. Adams responded by joking that if the reports were true, General Pickering had kept them for himself. Abigail has also been scrutinized by some historians in recent years. Her friendship and correspondence with Thomas Jefferson have been viewed as some sort of illicit affair she had with her husband's ex-friend. However, John and Abigail's long and happy marriage has overshadowed all the rumors that broke out about their relationship. James Madison. While John and Abigail's union only faced doubts from her parents, this next founding father's story is a true forbidden romance. Interfaith marriages were frowned upon at the time, but James Madison, a key founding father and the 4th President of the United States, proved that he did not care about society's opinions and married the love of his life. Madison is often remembered for his serious demeanor, especially in his official portraits. These images show him gazing directly at the viewer, challenging them to coax a smile from his rugged face, which only grew more weathered with age. However, the man behind this stoic exterior had a more complex and passionate life than history often reveals. His pursuits included a range of romantic interests, from a young woman who ultimately rejected him to a wealthy widow from a loyalist family. Despite marrying later in life at the age of 43, Madison's romantic life was far from dormant. His courtship of Dolly Todd was passionate and fervent, culminating in their marriage in 1794. This union, however, was not without its complications. Dolly, who came from a Quaker background, faced expulsion from the Society of Friends because of her marriage to Madison, who was not a Quaker. Their wedding took place at Harewood, her sister's husband's plantation in what is now West Virginia, marking the start of a vibrant partnership that defied their public personas. Together, they shared a lively and even rowdy life, often entertaining friends and family in the White House. Dolly was known for her merry eyes and infectious laughter, which provided a delightful contrast to Madison's more serious image. This joyful spirit likely helped to temper Madison's more intense personality, allowing them to create a warm and inviting home. As they embraced their new life together, Madison took on the role of stepfather to Dolly's surviving son, John Payne Todd, affectionately called Payne. His life took a significant turn after his father's death in 1801, when he inherited Montpelier and the more than 100 enslaved African Americans who lived there. This inheritance posed a moral challenge for Madison, particularly because Dolly had been raised in a family that had freed their slaves after the Revolution due to Quaker beliefs. Madison worried about the question of slavery as well, engaging in multiple discussions with esteemed visitors about the possibility of colonizing freed slaves in Africa. While Madison may have considered freeing those slaves, he decided to leave them to Dolly in his will, with the expressed desire that she not sell them without their consent, a wish she ultimately failed to honor. Gouverneur Morris. Contrary to James Madison and Dolly, who went against their faiths to marry each other, this next founding father enjoyed a love life that no faith would let slide. This guy who unapologetically bedded married women and was rumored to enjoy exhibitionism was none other than Gouverneur Morris. He is often overlooked in discussions about the founding fathers, yet his contributions to the United States are significant. He was not just a statesman, he led a fascinating life filled with passionate experiences. His diaries provide an unfiltered glimpse into his sexual identity, revealing a man who was openly adventurous. While many might not recognize his name, Morris played a crucial role in drafting the Constitution, significantly shaping both the preamble and final endorsement. Morris spent much of his early adulthood as a bachelor, only marrying at 57. During his years of singlehood, he indulged in a lively and often explicit sex life. His journals are strikingly candid, showcasing his boldness in detailing his romantic escapades. Unlike many of his contemporaries, who often resorted to coded language when discussing intimate matters, Morris embraced his desires without hesitation. He celebrated his experiences, providing insight into a lifestyle that was both liberated and provocative. Much of this daring behavior took place during his tenure as an ambassador around the time of the French Revolution. One of his most notable affairs involved a married woman living in the Louvre, which at that time served as a royal residence rather than a museum. Their relationship was characterized by a shared thrill for exhibitionism, revealing a tantalizing side of Morris that contrasted sharply with the political turmoil of the day. In one particular journal entry, Morris captures the essence of their risque encounters, describing an audacious meeting at the Louvre. Go to the Louvre. We take the chance of interruption and celebrate in the passage while Mademoiselle is at the harpsichord in the drawing room. The husband is below. Visitors are hourly expected. The doors are all open. This vivid portrayal illustrates not just a moment of passion, but also a deliberate embrace of risk and excitement, as Morris navigated the boundaries of desire in a world that often confined such expressions. His writings reflect late 18th century attitudes toward sex outside marriage, intertwining themes of love and companionship with a raw enthusiasm for pleasure. Through his candid accounts, Morris challenges the social norms of his time, advocating for a more open and liberated view of intimacy. His reflections resonate as a stark contrast to the often repressive standards of his contemporaries, revealing the complexities of human desire and connection. We hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more.